Knowledge value chain, transforming intellectual potential into economic and social power. In the age of knowledge-based economies, organizations, nations, and communities are increasingly aware that their greatest asset is no longer physical capital, machinery, or raw resources, but knowledge itself. Knowledge has become the primary driver of competitiveness, innovation, and societal progress. Yet knowledge in its raw form does not hold inherent value. Ideas, insights, and research findings remain dormant unless they are transformed into something usable, applicable, and impactful. This transformation is not spontaneous. It requires a structured mechanism capable of guiding knowledge from its initial creation toward meaningful economic, social, and cultural outcomes. This mechanism is known as the knowledge value chain, KVC, a foundational concept in modern knowledge management and one of the most strategic pillars supporting the future of innovation ecosystems. The knowledge value chain describes how raw knowledge, originating from research, ideas, data, or lived experience, moves through a series of processes that refine, contextualize, operationalize, and ultimately commercialize or socialize it. Much like a manufacturing value chain that converts raw materials into finished goods, KVC converts intellectual resources into tangible value. It integrates disciplines such as knowledge management, innovation theory, strategic learning, and organizational development into a unified model that explains how societies and institutions turn intangible insights into real-world impact. The nature of raw knowledge is inherently fragmented, distributed, and often unstructured. Scientists produce research papers filled with complex theories. Engineers generate design drafts. Communities produce tacit knowledge through shared experience. And employees carry insights derived from daily practice. Without a mechanism to process and connect these forms of knowledge, much of it remains trapped in silos, useful only to a few, inaccessible to many, and disconnected from broader systems of innovation. The knowledge value chain addresses this problem by establishing a structured pathway through which knowledge can travel, evolve, and expand its potential for application. Understanding the KVC requires recognizing that knowledge, like energy, must be captured, shaped, and directed. It moves through stages where it becomes more refined, more contextualized, and more capable of generating value. At its earliest stage, knowledge emerges as discovery, often incomplete, experimental, and exploratory. It carries promise, but not yet purpose. As it moves along the chain, it is enhanced through design, developed into prototypes, deployed into real-world environments, diffused through networks, and delivered as solutions, products, services, or societal innovations. Each movement adds value. Each stage reduces uncertainty. Each transformation increases the strategic utility of knowledge. The power of the knowledge value chain lies in its ability to make the invisible visible. Many institutions underestimate the quantity of intellectual capital they produce because it is not immediately monetized or operationalized. Academic institutions generate vast amounts of research, but only a small portion becomes innovation. Government agencies collect large volumes of data, but much of it remains unused. Companies accumulate insights from customers and employees, but few organizations systematically translate these insights into strategic advantage. The KVC reveals the processes required to unlock this latent value, showing step by step what it takes to convert potential into impact. As a concept, the knowledge value chain challenges a traditional understanding of knowledge as something static, stored in documents, databases, or individual minds. Instead, it positions knowledge as a dynamic asset that evolves through interaction, collaboration, and experimentation. Knowledge grows when it is shared. It strengthens when it is tested. It matures when it is applied. It multiplies when it is combined with other forms of knowledge across disciplines and networks. The KVC provides a structure that enables this continuous evolution and expansion, acting as the backbone of any modern innovation ecosystem. The strategic significance of KVC becomes clearer when viewed in contrast with economies driven by material resources. In industrial economies, value is created by transforming physical inputs into physical outputs. In knowledge economies, value is created by transforming intellectual inputs into intellectual outputs. Innovations, technologies, systems, methods, and solutions. Unlike physical resources, knowledge does not diminish when used. It expands. The process of applying knowledge generates new knowledge. This creates a self-reinforcing cycle that accelerates progress, widens opportunities, and prepares societies for future complexities. The knowledge value chain articulates how this cycle operates, ensuring that the momentum of knowledge creation does not dissipate, but instead accumulates into greater value. Furthermore, KVC acknowledges the multidimensional nature of value. It is not limited to economic gain. Knowledge can produce technological breakthroughs, improve organizational effectiveness, strengthen communities, advance education, support environmental sustainability, and enhance public policy. Social impact, such as improved health systems, smarter cities, empowered citizens, or resilient institutions, is just as significant as financial impact. The knowledge value chain recognizes that value must be understood holistically, integrating both economic benefit and social good. By doing so, it encourages institutions to innovate responsibly, ensuring that knowledge serves not only markets but also humanity. The importance of the KVC becomes even more pronounced in the digital era. Digital technologies accelerate every stage of the chain. Data becomes abundant, analysis becomes faster, insights become more precise, and distribution becomes global. Artificial intelligence can process patterns across enormous datasets, revealing insights that humans might miss. Digital platforms democratize access to knowledge, allowing individuals and small organizations to participate in innovation ecosystems that were once dominated by large institutions. Yet the abundance of digital knowledge makes the structure offered by the KVC even more essential. Without a clear system for filtering, refining, and applying knowledge, digital overload can lead to confusion, fragmentation, or misinformation. The knowledge value chain provides the clarity and discipline needed to navigate this complexity. KVC also plays a critical role in organizational leadership. Leaders who understand the knowledge value chain approach decision-making differently. They prioritize learning, foster collaboration, encourage experimentation, and design systems that support knowledge flow. They understand that innovation is not a random outcome, but the result of orchestrated processes. They cultivate environments where raw ideas can be captured, tested, and transformed. In such organizations, employees are not just performers. They are knowledge producers and innovation contributors. The KVC becomes the invisible infrastructure that powers their creativity, aligns their efforts, and multiplies their collective intelligence. At the societal level, nations that adopt the KVC mindset accelerate their development. Countries like Finland, South Korea, Singapore, and Japan have demonstrated that investing in knowledge creation, knowledge integration, and knowledge application leads to sustained competitive advantage. They build ecosystems where universities, industries, governments, and communities collaborate to move knowledge along the value chain. Policies that encourage research, strengthen digital infrastructure, support entrepreneurship, and foster lifelong learning become the enablers of a thriving knowledge economy. Through the KVC lens, national progress becomes not merely an outcome of economic policy, but the result of society deliberately nurturing and mobilizing its intellectual assets. The KVC also highlights an important truth. Knowledge is not valuable until it moves. Stagnant knowledge, whether stored in academic journals, corporate databases, or institutional archives, creates no impact. Value emerges only when knowledge travels, when it is shared, debated, improved, and used. The movement of knowledge is the lifeblood of innovation. The knowledge value chain provides the pathways through which this movement occurs, ensuring that knowledge does not remain trapped, but instead becomes accessible, meaningful, and actionable. At its core, the knowledge value chain is a philosophy of transformation. It sees knowledge as an evolving force capable of reshaping industries, empowering communities, and advancing civilization. It recognizes that the future belongs to those who understand how to capture knowledge, refine it, and convert it into solutions that address real challenges. In a world facing climate change, inequality, technological disruption, and complex societal issues, the ability to transform knowledge into action becomes a moral and strategic imperative. In this sense, the knowledge value chain is not merely a management framework. It is a blueprint for progress. It shows how discovery leads to design, how design leads to development, how development leads to deployment, and how deployment leads to impact, economic, social, cultural, and environmental. It is a cycle of value creation that regenerates itself through learning, reflection, and continuous improvement. As the global economy moves deeper into the knowledge era, the relevance of the KVC will only grow. Organizations that master it will lead their industries. Nations that implement it will shape the future. Individuals who understand it will become creators rather than consumers of knowledge. And societies that embrace it will build lasting prosperity rooted not in resources that deplete, but in knowledge that expands. The knowledge value chain ultimately teaches us that knowledge is humanity's greatest renewable resource. When cultivated with purpose, refined with discipline, and applied with vision, it becomes a force capable of transforming lives, institutions, and the world.